Shabbat Shalom to us here in the sanctuary, to us in our homes or wherever we may be, as we're all joining together to welcome Shabbat. There is a beautiful song, a sweet song about the beauty of this day, Maya Hayom. And we know that around town that there are young people, sometimes little people, who are going to stand up in their places, and if we listen very hard, we can hear them and maybe even help them with the singing of Maya Hayom.
Maya Hayom, Shabbat Shalom, Maya Hayom, Shabbat
From the 150th Psalm on page 14, Hallelujah. Yes. Had that been an actual emergency, oh, you can hear me. Can you hear me? Okay. In a moment, we're going to, in a few minutes, going to be lighting the Shabbat candles, and Brennan Small and Austin Margulies, along with their families, are going to come forward to light a couple of the sets of the Shabbat candles. Emma West, who's also celebrating Bat Mitzvah tomorrow, will be coming up later in the service, probably with her family too, but they just get to watch as she picks up the Kiddush cup and leads us in Kiddush. But before we do those things, there's a few minutes to give ourselves the gift of silence and breathing deeply, allowing Shabbat to seep in and allowing everything else to disappear, dissipate, go away. And after these few minutes of of absorbing the sweetness of Shabbat, then we'll light those Shabbat candles.
And let us say, Amen. Come, let us sing joyously to the eternal Lechu Neranana Ladonai, page 4. Lechu Neranana Ladonai. L'Adonai
We'll sing Lecha Dodi in a few moments, but it is the beautiful medieval poetry from the mystics that helps us to fully welcome Shabbat. And our tradition here, as in many places, is first to make sure that we welcome one another, that we can't simply jump up to the heavens while we're all sitting separately and not as connected as possible. So if you can turn around and see someone perhaps you've never met or haven't seen in a very long time, and make sure everybody in the sanctuary is greeted somehow with Shabbat Shalom.
I have a shirt
Can you
that
guys
says
at
that.
least buy some black masks? This looks like we're in bloody emergency ward over here.
I was told here that that's what we wear, you know?
Seriously.
איפה קונים מסכות שחורות? רק באמזון, לא?
כאלה? יש לי את כל המסכות בד, אבל אמרו לי שפה זה מה שהם רוצים, אז אני לובש את זה. בדרך כלל בא עם מסכת בד.
לא, אבל יש כאלה שחורות N95.
שהם כאלה, כן. Thank you.
Page 10.
Lecha Dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekavela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekavela. Shamor v'zachor v'diburecha השמיענו אל המיוחד. אדוני אחד שמו אחד, לשם ולתפארת ולתהילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה. מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה מחשבה תחילה. לך אדוני לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. לך אדוני לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי בעורך קומי אורי. אורי אורי שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך תגלה. לך אדוני לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. לך אדוני לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. בואי בשלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצערה. תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך אדוני לקראת כלה פני שבת
Page 15 are the words of Chatzi Kaddish.
התקדל והתקדש שמי רבה, ורמה לברח חירותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב ויאמרו
Amen.
אמן יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקודשה בריחו לעילם מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן ביעלמה ויאמרו אמן.
Page 16. Outside, indeed, the sun has set. This is one of those times when the place in the liturgy and the heavens above are perfectly in sync as we read at the top of page 17 together about the movement of the planets and the coming of the evening. We read, "Blessed are you, eternal our God, source of the universe, whose word brings on the evening. Your wisdom opens heaven's gates. Your understanding makes the ages pass and the seasons alternate, and your will controls the stars as they travel through the skies. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light. You cause day to pass and bring on the night. You set day and night apart. You are the God of all. May the living and eternal God rule us always till the end of time. Blessed is the eternal, whose word makes evening fall."
ומעביר יום ומביא לילה ומבדיר בין יום ובין לילה אדוני צבאות שמו אל חי וקיים תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד ברוך אתה אדוני המעריב הרבים. Page 18 כי הם חיינו ויורך ימינו בהם נגע יומם ולילה גבתך תסיר ממנו לעולמים ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת פעם בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך, ובישעריך למען תזכרו, ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
We are seated. And I'm assuming there are bags again in the lobby? Yes, I see a thumbs up. Part of our tradition here, and not keeping the sacred things that we talk about and aspire to just to words in this place, but into the actions of our lives. There are bags of groceries in the atrium, in the lobby, and on your way as you leave tonight, our desire is to see them all disappear. And they are for you to take, to give to a neighbor who might appreciate it, someone who works for you who might appreciate it, someone you may pass by. But there are hungry people where we live. And part of our singing of Micha Mocha, our journey towards freedom, we always have to remember that it is only a journey that makes sense if we all make it together. All of the people in our lives, all of the people in our world. So please do make sure that there are none left, and help to share that as part of our journey forward. Micha Mocha, page 21.
חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני גאון ישראל.
From Exodus 31, Vishamru, the bottom of page 22b.
השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם, ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם, ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם, ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם, ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם, ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם, ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם, ברית עולם.
Just absorb that for a moment. And then make good use of it to rise together for the Amidah that begins on page 23.
That my mouth may declare your glory.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Ve'Elohei Avoteinu Ve'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Ve'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Ve'Elohei Leah Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor VaHanorah El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישוע, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל.
עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל.
Nine verses in this week's Torah portion, Noach, in the book of Genesis. 9 sentences make up the story of Babel, a story we don't often pay a lot of attention to. 9 sentences. Let me just read this entire story to you first. Now the whole earth had one language and the same words. And as people migrated from the east, they found a plain in the land of Shinar and settled there. And they said to one another, "Come, let us make bricks and burn them thoroughly." And they had brick for stone and bitumen for mortar. Then they said, "Come, let us build ourselves a city and a tower with its top in the very heavens. And let us make a name for ourselves, lest we be dispersed over the face of the whole earth." And God came down to see the city and the tower which the people had built. And God said, "Behold, they are one people, and they have all one language. And this is only the beginning of what they will do, and nothing that they propose to do will now be impossible for them. So come, let us go down there and confuse their language, so that they may not understand one another's speech." So God dispersed them from all over the face of the earth, and they left the building of the city. Therefore its name was called Babel, because there God confused the language of all the earth, and from there God dispersed them over the face of the earth. A wonderful little story, but raises more questions than it answers. And God's response seems to be rather severe. We find humanity united in one language, in one culture, speaking together. And you'd think that would be an ideal, that people should have the sense of a worldwide unified community. If they were living in such an ideal manner, why would God want to tear that apart and divide the people? So we have to ask, was God threatened by the tower? Could the God of the universe seriously be bothered by a physical structure as if it could reach the very heavens? Could God really have been afraid that the people with their one language and their tower might actually become godlike and somehow be a threat from the earth? So at first it's a bit puzzling, wondering why God would break up this seemingly ideal oneness of humanity, whose only crime seemed to be a bit of vanity in trying to build a very big city in a very tall building, something we know a lot about in our world. Rabbi Sidney Greenberg, Zichrono Livracha, had some beautiful thoughts on these very questions. He tells of one of the sages, a counselor of the kings and queens of Spain and Portugal by the name of Abravanel, who explained that God's punishment came from the fact that the people had previously been at peace with one another before they began to build the tower. They shared everything equally and generously. But as soon as they began to build, they started to argue with one another. The project of the building of the tower became paramount in the people's lives, overshadowing everything else. They argued over who could get the credit for laying the first brick on each new level. They argued about design, the choosing of color, organization of work. Nothing but hatred and jealousy. I mean, imagine building by committee. What kind of organization would build by committee? In essence, it became more of a competition for fame and self-aggrandizement, more than for the good of the people. At the very beginning of the last century, an Italian rabbi wrote that the whole project failed because it was based on the wrong goals and the wrong values. He said that while the people may have mastered the art of brick building and mold making and heating of the clay, instead of using that new technology to improve living conditions for everyone, to create new housing, to take care of sick people, elderly people, instead they poured all of their knowledge and resources into building the highest tower in the world. He argues that for them the focus was simply fame and glory, nothing greater than that. A very ancient rabbinic story gives us insight into the mislaid values of this building project in Babel. It said the tower was built 7 miles high, and some versions of the story say it was built 27 miles high. It took a person over a year to climb from the bottom to the top. The bricks were carried up on one side, and the line of workers then went down the other side. And if a worker fell and died, they paid no attention to him. But if a brick fell, they'd all sit and weep and say, "What a loss," they would say. "Look at how long it's going to take to get another brick to replace that one that fell." So this grand project became more important than life and health and safety of the human beings involved. In the early 1500s, an Italian Torah commentator, scientist, and philosopher by the name of Sforno had a somewhat different take on the tower. He addresses the question of why it was that God would want to break up the oneness and singleness of humanity that seems to be one of the goals of Judaism. You'll see a little later when we do Aleinu at the end of each and every service that it's a prayer about a time when people will all be one and will communicate together, will pray to the same God, that we will be one people. Sforno argues, though, that the builders of the tower indeed wanted one religion for everyone, one way of looking at the world, one way of running society, one point of view. But the leaders at that time believed that controversy, diversity of belief, differences of opinion were dangerous and unacceptable. They opposed freedom of thought, freedom of discussion. Therefore, a clear distinction is made between an oppressive unity of the people that comes from the power at the top and force down on the people, as opposed to the unity and oneness of a society that we Jews pray for, which is grassroots, which comes from us, which comes from our hearts, from the true desires and heartfelt convictions of the people working its way upward. So we learn that the story of the Tower of Babel is not simply a matter of God in heaven being threatened by a tall building. Instead, we see that it's a story of oppression, selfishness, materialism, greed, brutality, and that by destroying the tower and spreading humanity to the four corners of the earth, God was once again, as God had done in the flood with Noah, God was once again giving us the opportunity to start afresh, and hopefully this time to get it right. A prayer for healing on page 33. And before we sing our prayer for healing, if there's someone here that you individually are thinking of who may be here with you, it may be yourself or someone at home, but if you'd like to say a name out loud, and those of you who are at home, if there's somebody you're thinking of, for you to say their names out loud as well, so that we can wrap our arms and our hearts around all of these individuals, all people who need healing, and we can pray together. So I invite you first for names.
Beirach Avoteinu Avraham Yitzchak Yaakov Sarah Rivka Rachel Veleah Yivarech Virapeh et Acholim Mi Shebeirach Avoteinu Avraham Yitzchak veYaakov Sarah Rivka Rachel veleah Uyivarech virapeh et hacholim Elna refana Beirach Avoteinu Avraham Yitzchak veYaakov Sarah Rivka
Aleinu, page 36, we rise together.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה, ליוצר בראשית שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגור עלינו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, היום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Almost everyone is seated, almost everyone except for Michael Elkin, one of the officers of our congregation, who will honor us with greetings and anything you'd like. I don't know.
Anything I like.
Anything you'd like.
So much pressure. I hope I do okay. Shabbat Shalom. Mazel Tov to Austin, Emma, and Brennan, who will become B'nai Mitzvah tomorrow. And congratulations to Rachel and Richard Margulies and younger brother Ryder. I hope I get everyone's names right. I apologize if I don't. To Matthew West and Hallie Buckbinder and younger brother Ryan. And to Robin Davy Small and Adam Small and older brother Parker. How did I do? Did I do okay? Good. Awesome. Whew. Next Friday, October 15th, Shabbat services will be outside and in the back parking lot because it has lights. Please bring a lawn chair and celebrate Shabbat with us. The service will end in time for you to get home and log in at 8 p.m. because we've pushed Shabbat around the table to 8 p.m. To join us for our first Shabbat around the table program of the year, Israel's sojourn into the land of the Pharaoh. Gary A. Rensburg, a distinguished professor of biblical studies, Hebrew language, and ancient Judaism at Rutgers University, will be leading us in this year-long 7-part series. To make your life easier, because we like to make your life easier, please consider ordering a delicious Shabbat meal from Standing Room Only in Scarsdale to enjoy during the program. We've even worked with them on a special menu, which was included in your This Week email. Our Member Relations Committee will be hosting another Kol Ami walks on Monday, October 11th, this coming Monday, at Brook Park and Preserve in Hartsdale. We will meet in the parking lot at 9:30 a.m. The path is an unpaved, mostly flat trail suitable for all ages and dogs. If you are looking for things to do on Columbus Day, please come join us, weather permitting, of course. Looking ahead, we'll be hosting a Halloween Shabbat on Friday, October 29th.
Is that the right timing?
It is now. Spooky. At 6:15 in the parking lot. Put on your costumes, grab your lawn chairs, settle in for a spirited outdoor Shabbat service filled with music and fun. Homemade hot cocoa and individually wrapped candy treats await. Later that same evening, starting also at 8 p.m. I don't know how many times I'm going to say that the Shabbat Around the Table starts at 8 p.m. this year, but we'll see. Our Around the Shabbat Table program continues with a movie screening of Wide Open Dreams. This powerful documentary tells the story of how Grayston, a social justice enterprise, uses an open hiring business model to provide employment and no-cost development programs to anyone in need. Lastly, together with the Westchester Jewish Coalition for Immigration and the UJA, we are still collecting supplies for Afghan refugees through Monday, October 11th. Please join us in welcoming these refugees and helping them get what they need. Donations of new or gently used shoes, strollers, winter coats, children's backpacks, and everyday women's handbags with long straps. Yes, we keep saying that. Are desperately needed. Donation bins are set up in front of the main sanctuary and the religious school entrance. Shabbat Shalom.
In recent days and weeks, we have lost beloved family members, members of our congregation, and we remember them first before we get to the names of Yortzeit. And if the name of your beloved is mentioned at all, you're invited to rise with your family in your places. As first, we remember those recent losses: Joe Landau, Eva Kedar, Sam Waldman, Andrea M. Pinto, Owen James Rader, and Eric Epstein. If for you it's the year of saying Kaddish following a loss, you're invited to rise, as well as those of you who may be here and at home remembering Jacques Bohm, Sam Erdman, Martin Gordon, Regina Gross, Philip Grossfeld, Bernard Grossman, Ike Ishigoff, Gloria Leventhal Kaplan, George Kopp, Rabbi Simon Krinsky, Peter Lessler, Irma Loengart, Marcel Lamont, Joan Lyons, Chuck Malice, Manucher Manucherian, Eva Olan, Shirley Pastor, Charlotte Reese, Frederick Schenker, Martin Shapiro, Peggy Sinrich, Dorothy Styler, Joseph Vuker, Ruth Weiner, and Beverly Warshaw. And as we remember all of them, we'll all rise together. We'll turn to page 39 together and say the words of Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah be'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevarach la'alam u'la'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei dekudesha berichu la'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav Hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen.
Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru
And Emma, if you would come forward with your family, there is a Kiddush cup that awaits you. We're all going to be turning to page 40 with you as you lead us in Kiddush.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddishanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kadusho, be'ahava uv'ratzon, hinchilanu. Zikaron lemase v'reshit ki hu yom techila lemikra'e kodesh zecher litziat mitzrayim hivanu ואותנו קידשת, כל העמים, ושבת קדשך, באהבה ורצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. Amen.
Somebody has to drink it.
You have to drink it. How's it taste?
Good.
Mazel tov. And a blessing for all of us. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmarecha. May God bless us and keep us. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. May God smile upon us and be gracious to us. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God bless us with the best of all blessings, the blessing of shalom.
Amen, amen.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shalom aleichem, page 43.
Shalom aleichem, malachei השרת, malachei העליון, מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. בואכם לשלום, מלכי השלום, מלכי העליון. ממלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ברכוני לשלום, מלכי השלום, מלכי העליון. ממלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. צאתכם לשלום, מלכי השלום, מלכי העליון. ממלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
You're getting